to The Wrong Side of 40. Today we are going to be talking about our unconventional approach to the new year with a New Year same you.
Yes, same you, not New Year, new you. And then also today, my friend Carla Webb is going to be on. I'm going to interview her about transitioning to a new career in midlife.
Cool.
So, New Year, same you. We did some research. We didn't do the research.
We didn't. Caroline did.
I didn't do the research. I looked up the research on the internet that somebody else did. So, there's 3 schools of thought, I guess. It was the first 3 I Googled. And they all seemed pretty smart. Let's see. There was a Forbes study done that in less than 1 month. Oh no, this was the
optimistic-ish
definitely,
one.
yeah. So in less than a month, only 1% of people break down on their resolutions.
Which wouldn't be too bad.
That's great. And then within 3 months, it's like pretty much 50%.
It's almost half, yeah.
Yeah. And then, but the real bad, not optimistic part of this one was that 11 or 12 months, 1% or fewer of people have broken their resolutions. That I believe. Then there was another one,
yes,
Ohio State, that said only 9% of Americans that make resolutions complete them. So complete is different than break down. So you could do a real quick resolution like I'm going to, I don't know, cut the grass in January. You could get that done.
Do it
within the month. You'd be within the 1%. And then you have completed it. But like if you're talking a like massive
long-term
life change, then only 9%. However, these guys say that 23% of people quit by the end of the first week.
Which is what my social media feeds are telling me.
I feel like it. I mean, who knows who they interviewed? Who knows? And then 43% by the end of January. I could get behind that. And the New York Post is even less optimistic. They say it's February 1st is the cutoff day. They only polled 2,000 Americans, and it was done in 2020. Doesn't say when in 2020.
Ooh.
But I'm saying by the time COVID rolled around, nobody was keeping resolutions. So that was probably not the best year to do this one. But that it takes 32 days for the average person to finally break their resolution, which I would say so. Within the month. I would get that.
And that's what it seems to be like visibly, like at gyms and things like that.
Right.
In general,
right.
By the time March rolls around, it's back to normal.
Yeah. Now I've found the opposite almost in my gym, like
that's good
because it snowed so much.
Right.
Like
we got so much snow.
It was just the same people there,
and everyone
throughout
was
the month
ready
of
to
January.
not see their kids anymore, so they were like, "We have to go to the gym."
Yeah,
get away from these people.
True, but I don't think people got new gym memberships necessarily in January because like we didn't get out of the house that much, and then when we did, we had to do it for things that were like have tos.
Yes.
So anyway, so that said, why should we make a resolution in the first place? And I say we shouldn't.
All right.
Come at me.
Let's hear it.
So like, I don't think we should have to feel the need to reinvent ourselves every January 1st. I think we are perfect the way we are. Maybe not perfect, but we are good the way we are. And then also, the reason why all this stuff fails is because you've got the big giant goals that like, I'm going to start the first of the year and do this big thing. I feel like I've got all year to do it. But then when you quit at the end of the month, then you really haven't given it the year that you thought that you would. It's a tradition to make resolutions.
Isn't that like the most, I mean, I thought that was one of the most interesting things that people struggle to keep their New Year's resolutions because they're making them just out of tradition. Like they're not even, they're like, well, I have to because it's like the new year, so I'm going to.
Yeah.
And they do. But that's not.
Like, people are going to ask you, well, what was your resolution this year?
And if you're like, nothing, then there's a little bit of a cultural stigma there.
Yeah. Like, oh,
Oh,
are you so perfect that you don't need it?
Or are you too lazy that you don't do them? Which one? Yeah, like there's a
And that's
little
okay.
something there.
But
a little judgment there, I guess.
Exactly.
Either way,
Exactly. I mean, people can change their goals, and I mean that's another way a goal can break down is if you change your goal, but or your priorities change something, and always there are unforeseen obstacles. You can plan all you want, and then something's going to throw you a curveball, and then you can do that. The goals are too big, and I know you want to talk about that later.
We will talk about that.
You know, making goals that are crazy, and that I would rather just work on myself in kind of like small increments. Like maybe I could really force myself to drink more water. I'm still working on that. It seems like some days I can do it and other days I don't. But making small changes, especially one at a time. If you do.
Especially one at a time. And I think there's some decent, okay, I'm going to say this completely unsupported by anything that I know in my brain, like documentation wise, but I think there's some decent science that doing one at a time has better results than a cluster of brand new things in January, which quickly becomes overwhelming.
Yes, I've heard that quite a bit, and I think it is science.
It's definitely science. Right. Totally science.
Yeah. And the all or nothing mentality, that's basically what that is. Yes. And I have to fight against that a lot. The all or nothing mentality is like, I dive into stuff like head first, I want to do all the things, and I want to do it perfectly. And then when something goes wrong, I'm like, well, I certainly wasn't meant to do that. Get it.
So I've noticed in observing us, I think you are the hare and I'm the tortoise, which doesn't mean I'm winning the race. Just that, like, our personalities, and it's like this with my husband too. Like, he's the hare and I'm the tortoise. And I'm like, I'll do little things, and he's like, we're doing things today, and we're gonna knock out the project. And I'm like, I just cleared a shelf, and he's like, clear all the shelves and put the things back on. So it's interesting because there are definitely, and even though in that fable, like the hare, or the tortoise wins the race, like the tortoises. Tortoisei. Just kidding. I don't know. They have some weaknesses too, because there is definitely a time to like knock out a project or throw yourself all the way into something. Which is how you started this podcast. And if I had started this podcast, I would have had like a cheap like Walmart microphone and been like at a dark desk somewhere. Like I'll just start with little steps and then there's that frustration of like, well, it wasn't very good. Well, of course it wasn't very good because I didn't like commit to the bigger, I'm not saying this perfectly, but you know what I mean?
I do know it, yeah.
Like, whereas you were like, I've got the mic, I've got the things, we're set up, we're ready to go, we're going for this.
Yeah.
And so that's like one of my weaknesses as a tortoise is sometimes I'm like almost too small sometimes, but then there's also the hair weakness of like the
burning out.
Yes, burning out, or like if it wasn't perfect, then it's tough to be like, well, that wasn't perfect. And I'm like, great, where's my Walmart mic? So.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, and I definitely do burn out. That is definitely a problem that I have. But but you're going to get your book done. And I'm going to be pushing up against the time frame and going like, why did I agree to this?
And I am going to get my book done. But then when the time comes to like create buzz and excitement, I'm going to have trouble with those pushes. So those times when a big push is nice and necessary, I really struggle with that. Okay. So like sit me at my desk for 2 hours a day and I'm there. But like ask me for that big push and I really struggle. Okay. So it's a really interesting like thing with the tortoises and the hares because like there are definitely strengths and weaknesses to both of those that can derail our goals.
Yes.
So
for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, good. That was we didn't even practice that.
We didn't. We're just that good.
Gotta practice the rest of it. So, we're going to like go back a little bit to our check yourself before you wreck yourself, because that was like, if I do say, that was a very good idea. I think it was your idea.
No, it was your idea. Yeah.
Oh. Well, then you came up with a name or something. I don't know.
You also came up with a name. It was all you.
Anyway. It just sounded like a gene, like alliterate. Not. It's not alliteration. It's rhyming.
Right.
Anyway. See, know what it is. Okay, so we went and looked up our self-check yourself list. Hydrate, get outside in nature, whatever, circadian rhythm, try to get outside, which has been hard this month because it has been snowy and icy and horrible for so long and cold. Exercise, meditate, take care of your overall health, go see your doctor, get anything that's bugging you taken care of, take some family time, get some sleep, and eat some decent food. So the question is, how many of those did you implement before the holidays? How many, did you get our whole list done before the holidays?
Okay, this is honest. I had a lot of these things already in place.
Ooh, that's even better.
So those I did.
The tortoise had all that in place.
See, I know. There's my tortoise right there.
Yep.
Doctor's appointments, no, fail. Otherwise, I did okay. I did okay with those.
All right. So me, hydrate, and we even were talking about this earlier. I went and filled up Jean's water bottle, and I'm still 2 drinks into mine. So hydrate is hit and miss. The outside time. I mean, I scraped a lot of snow.
You were good at that. Yeah.
I scraped a lot of snow. I will say that. My husband had a full knee replacement, and I was out there on the tractor. I had to learn how to use the tractor so we could get out of our house. So I spent plenty of outside time. Although I didn't walk because there was snow and ice on the ground, and I would hurt myself.
We had, it's a beautiful day today, but ice.
Yeah, and it wouldn't go away.
Oh, it did not.
The exercise / meditation.
And I would say I didn't hit the meditation as well as I would have liked to. But
in fact, I had the Calm app. I don't know. Have you ever used that?
I have. Yes, I have only used the free version though.
Well, I did the paid version because I had really started enjoying it. There were all these playlists that they had. I really ended up liking, and then I started using YouTube for music playlists and stuff a little bit more. And I was like, well, I'm not using this Calm app that much. I'm gonna get rid of it. Well, then I didn't do any meditation at all. So, and then the exercise. That was hit and miss too. This week was not good. I did go to your yoga class.
I know.
What, twice?
Yes. Keep coming.
I know.
It's so fun, and it's a little meditation too.
That's
the
true.
fun thing.
It
You
was
can count. You can double count.
Oh, there you go. That's a whole hour of meditation.
I mean,
whereas
kind of, because you're doing that breathing the whole time, and I mean that's something too that we overlook with our goals or resolutions. But just to use the word goal, we definitely are oh, but I only did this thing. I'm but that thing was also this thing and this thing and this thing, all kind of wrapped up in a nice package. Yeah. But we don't always give ourselves credit for that.
This is true. I guess even when we're lifting heavy and we're
I mean it is good breath. It's different breath.
Yeah.
Any breath. I mean, this is the yoga teacher in me, but different types of breath are good for us to be doing.
Yeah, and it is a meditation because when you've got your timer on for 2 minutes and you've got, I don't know, 150 pounds that you're trying to push up with your feet.
Yeah. No,
that's my time of just okay, you gotta really push through this and not be here, be somewhere else. And that's
when
meditation.
I was in college and was lifting weights, I still like to lift weights, but I did it a lot more in college. And honestly, it was my time. I was so busy the rest of the time, and other people were giving me lots of, stuff to do. But that time was sacred. I mean, it was honestly almost holy time, where I really did. And I got ideas when I was exercising, because it happens when you're kind of in that state a little bit. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I did do the overall health thing. I have many doctor's appointments that I either went to or am going to plan.
Oh,
yeah, that's good.
Job.
Getting it all taken care of. Family time, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely,
Yay.
yes. Sleep,
Yeah, I mean, sleep is always an for me. I do better when the kids are not in school, just because it's a little less stressful.
Yeah.
Life is less stressful, but...
That's true. And then you don't have to get up at the crack of dawn and get them out and get them to school. But I will say I'm working a little on my sleep hygiene. I'm kicked out of the bed because of his knee replacement.
Yes.
So he needs the whole
whole
thing, and that's fine. It's not a big deal. But like he'll get in a position and like maybe it's like half onto my side, and I need to not be there and be taking up space because he wakes up like several times in the night still because he'll get in a weird position and sleeping and then be like So yeah, he needs that. But I've converted our little room upstairs, like the kids' playroom or whatever. It had a mattress in it already just for like extra sleep or whatever. But I've slowly made it nice
your little spot.
Yeah, my little spot. So anyway, we're working on sleep. Eat decent food.
I mean, that was weaker for me in December too. But I was like, I'm gonna try. I heard this too. Love it. Again, tortoise. I am like the tortoise. The tortoise. But like that to insert good things and not worry about getting rid of the bad things. And I liked that. That resonated with me. So just kind of holding on to that. We're gonna insert the good and then not stress about, and there are no bad foods except maybe like drugs or something. Don't do drugs. But yeah.
Alrighty. I guess we kind of melded that question in with the
did.
next one. Did you sustain it? It's the same question. So which ones were the most helpful? Do you think? What helped you the most through the holiday season?
Walking outside until, like you say, January.
And then it just didn't.
I mean, and that's okay. Like it just didn't. It wasn't gonna work. It was actually a little. I actually remember I went. A lot of our road was cleared because we have a neighbor with like a bulldozer thing, so he cleared it. But then I took like 3 steps up a little road that was not cleared, and I was slipping everywhere. It was honestly like less healthy, less safe. I was like, nope, this is not the right choice.
Yeah, that's totally not.
So we make the right choice for the right moment.
Sure.
But for me, it was probably walking outside most days. Even if I was all bundled up, it was very nice for me. And every day, and different people are different, but like every day, like even when I was tired or discouraged or whatever, I was like, you know what I can do? I can just put on shoes and take a walk. And not everyone feels that way, and that's okay. But for me, that was really accessible. Whereas putting on my gym clothes, that wasn't always there for me.
Yeah, it is a little easier if you just think, I'm just going to put on the right pair of shoes and go.
I'm
not going to make a production out of it. I'm just going to go.
And if I want to come home in 10 minutes because it's miserable, I can do that.
Yeah.
But I just, so that was probably my best thing for December.
Good. So I guess, and this is, again, my husband, he wants to go walk now. He can finally walk a distance.
Yes.
So he's been probably twice a day for the last week. He's been like, hey, you want to go walk? And it'll just be like, it's like a half mile from our mailbox to the road and back. But that's like a mile if you do it twice.
That's right.
And that's it. Sometimes that's all you need. And that's good.
Right.
Yes. So anyway, we did a few. You did more.
But I did them tiny.
You won the race.
I did them tiny. I didn't though. I just I did them tiny, and that's kind of how I do. So. All right, which actually segues into the next story.
It does. It really does. This is
my thing. So when I was younger, when I was on a mission for my church, we had someone who was called our mission president, and we would do trainings about once a month. And one of the things that we trained on once was goals. And as young people, there are a lot of hairs when you're young people, right? So we're like, we're going big. We're gonna make big goals, all the things, we're gonna do all the things. And anyway, there's a time for that. And there is. But he was like, I see a lot of you guys getting really discouraged, which is another thing. It's easy to happen when you're young.
Sure.
Because you are setting up a target and you are way too far away to ever hit the target. And you know that you can't hit the target, but you think it's a good idea still to be so far away from the target. He's like, I want you to move close to the target so that every single time you can hit the target, and maybe sometimes you're even going to get a bullseye. And it had such an impact on me. I've remembered it for 25 years now. That idea that when we are making a goal we know we can't achieve,
Mm-hmm.
but we're like, but it's a good goal. I'm going to make it. I know I won't make it, but I'll get close.
Mm-hmm.
And I still hear that sometimes, and it's fine, but it doesn't work for me because it is so discouraging to me. So when I'm shooting the arrows and they're all falling in the grass, that is too discouraging to me, and I'm going to give up. So I have started throughout my life, to like move closer to the goal, and maybe you're standing right next to it and you just stick your arrow in, but with time you can move away or the goals can change, to different things. But that really stuck with me, the idea of like, you've got to be close enough to the target that you at least have a chance of hitting it. So that is maybe my tortoise origin story. And that is what I love about the new year, is this chance to make goals, but we stand really close to the target. And so I guess we were going to talk about that a little bit too with our new year. Say new.
Okay.
I was like, I'm going to say that wrong. I think that's right.
You said it right.
You said wait. One thing that is interesting is the idea of small goals or close goals. So, which I mean, like your story with your husband, like where you're like, we're going to walk that half mile twice a day. That's a mile. He's recovering. Like, that's great, you know? Or I don't have time or want to put on my gym clothes, but I'm going to wear like literally my pajamas because it's just my neighborhood. So who cares? And walk outside, and it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, those are little things that can be done. You're going to hit the goal.
Okay. So that's how you move closer to the goal, is like,
Yeah.
set yourself up to just have to
You make
nudge
it
across the finish
easy
line.
enough
Yeah.
that you can hit the goal.
Okay.
And I heard Dr. Becky Kennedy recently. She told a story about, I think it was her second grade teacher, who said, oh, I hope I don't butcher it. We'll get the right quote in the show notes if I butcher it. But her teacher said, if you're not achieving your goals, they're not small enough. And I do think there's a place where they get almost too small, where you're like, I don't care about this enough, because you have to care. And that's where the hairs, I think, really sparkle. So you have to care about what you're doing, because if it's too small, you're like, I don't really care that I drank one sip of water today. That's
right.
like, you don't get enough dopamine out of something. So anyway, so there's definitely a balance between that tortoise and that hare and those little goals and bigger goals. But I really loved that quote. If you're not achieving your goals, or if you're not motivated to achieve your goals, they're not small enough. And then of course there's the idea too that if you're not achieving your goals, maybe you don't want to do them. And that's worth a think, you know?
That's true. Like,
So
why don't you want to achieve them? Why are they your goals?
Yeah. Why are they your goals? If you don't really want to achieve them. I heard something else recently where someone was like calling in, who knows, something. And they were like, I made a goal to never eat cake again, big goal. Not very close to the target. And then by like January 1st at lunchtime, I'd already broken it. And I was like, I don't think you wanted to keep that goal. And that's okay. Who wants to keep that goal? It's a terrible goal. I'm just kidding. But like, if we don't really want to keep the goal, we're definitely never going to keep the goal.
Sure.
And then we have to move that target close enough that we can hit it, or at least have the chance of hitting it. So at least know in our brains and hearts, like, I can hit that if I want to. Okay. So
yes. And that helps you believe in your goals too.
Yes.
Is that if you're like, well, all I have to do is this and I'll make it.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of the pressure away. And that's what we were going to talk about, is like, we were going to start by talking like, what do we like about ourselves? And I'm going to let you go because I've been talking too much.
All right. So yes. So instead of, we decided, now this was your idea. I definitely know this was your idea, because I was freaking out about it, because the list of what you like about yourself is really hard to make.
It's hard.
Oh my gosh. And I could make a list if I didn't have to show anybody. But I am going to talk about it and video it.
Do it.
And stuff. And so I don't want to come off like a giant butt.
I already did with my discussion of my wonderful tortoise-like qualities. So you go for it.
So like, in the sense of like, we said, okay, instead of making a list of stuff we don't like about ourselves, we're going to make, which is basically a resolutions list, is a list of what you don't like about yourself, that you want to change, that you do. I don't like what I'm doing here, so I'm going to do this instead. That's a resolution. That's a list of what you don't like.
Mm-hmm. Which is so, like, when you think about it in those terms, all of a sudden you're like, what is this weird thing that we're doing to ourselves?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, usually it's I won't do whatever.
Yes, it's usually a negative.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I don't like that I do this.
Right.
So, instead, we're going to say what we like about ourselves. Okay. So, in true hair fashion, I like my excitement about projects I'm committed to.
There it is.
Okay. I like that I'm cultivating my musical talent with my band, Eclectic Mayhem.
Yep, say the name.
Yeah, it's on my website. And the fact that I am taking on more musical opportunities lately. I pretty much haven't passed on one, paid, unpaid, whatever, for a long time. And so, that's good. And then I like that I am actively taking steps to improve my health. So, and that's kind of a broad, if that were a goal, that would be a too broad goal. Improving my health wouldn't be small enough to hit the target, but I'm taking many active steps to.
And you know it, so you are hitting the target. Like if you're taking those steps, and they're like, those are hits.
And I guess
like
I have broken down that, but I don't need to list out loud. Okay, now you have to say it.
Okay, I also think this is hard. And what's interesting, and we chatted about this a little bit too, is young children, young children are very good at this. They'll twirl around and be like, I look beautiful. Even if they look hopeless, they are not afraid. They think they're beautiful. They think they're smart. They think they're strong. Like if you've been around young children, you'll see them lift something and be like, oh, and they're just so proud and happy of this strength that they have. It's a beautiful thing, and we definitely lose it pretty young, honestly. So the things I like about myself, here's my tortoise one. I am steady. I am a steady person. I cannot read my own notes. Okay, there. I work for my health, so I have that one too. And I also have a musical one where, so I like to sing also. And this year I auditioned for the Philharmonic Chorus.
Yay!
And so now I'm going to do that. And that is a fun thing. And I haven't done anything with music like for myself for a long time. So I've taught music, and I've helped my kids with music, and I've volunteered at school to help with music things, but like just where I'm like, mom's gonna perform now.
Yeah,
I haven't done that for a long time. So that is something. And then I do what I say I will, which I guess that's the steadiness bit, but
that's good.
Usually.
I can't put that on my list.
It's usually.
That's the hair. Because I say I will, and then I'll burn it.
But and again, like the fable does the hair dirty, because honestly, there have been times in my life when I've done what I've said I was going to do, but I really shouldn't have. I really should have been like, I'm sorry, I committed to this, but I need to back out, and I have not been able to do that. So, there are times we need to be hares, and there are times we need to be tortoises.
All right.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead. We worked this out already.
Yeah, we did.
No,
you're good. So along with that, then what we wanted to do is talk about how we can take this list of things we already like about ourselves instead of things we dislike about ourselves, and then add to that. So if you've got this list of what you like, what do you already do that you want to lean into? So if it's music, is there a way you can lean in? And it can be public, like you try out for something, but it could also just be really private. Like I'm going to spend, there's my tortoise. I can't stop seeing it now that I said it. I'm going to spend 10 minutes watching a YouTube video and practicing with that YouTube teacher. Like it can be anything at all that you want to do.
Well, the hair needs to spend more time practicing is what she probably should do.
You
I just want to get out there and perform and I don't want to practice.
See, you can't unsee it once it's
Right?
seen, right?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, so my two were that the exercise that I'm already doing, I would want to increase my consistency of it. Like really commit to a certain number of times per week. Because now I'm just kind of like, I'll get to it when I get to it. And I used to have like time scheduled in and whatever, and that really helped me stay on track because I had an appointment to keep.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever. And then I have been also lazy in, I shouldn't say that. No, I should say that. Like, most people hate leg day, right?
I like leg day.
I love leg day. I hate upper body day.
But you're right, most people do hate leg day.
I hate upper body day because as a woman, I mean, like, it's just science. Your upper body is less strong than a male's upper body. It just is.
And even so much less strong proportionally to our lower bodies.
That too, yeah. So it's like it's a more of a tax on me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have shoulder issues, which I had to be on a steroid a couple weeks ago, and I just thought I was gonna die. It was the worst thing ever.
My husband
couldn't
had
stand
a
it.
steroid once for an injury, and he said the same thing. He was like, let's never do that
Mhm.
again. I was like, let's never do that again.
Well, I had taken it before, and it was just the little like blister pack or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then this time they gave it to me in a pill bottle. I was like, maybe they were out of the blister packs, and they just whatever. Then I looked at the milligrams on it. The blister pack ones are 4 milligram.
Okay.
Mine were 10 milligram.
Okay.
That's why I took it, because the 4 milligram ones just like fix me up. I feel fine. I feel like Superwoman. It's all good. This time, it was too much.
Mm-hmm.
So next time I'll be like,
you're like,
I'll
how
take
about
the
the
4. I'll take the 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just concentrate more on my upper body, like actually do it instead of being like, I'd rather do legs. So my other thing that I already do, and I guess this is probably a consistency thing too. When I want to be, I can be very organized. I can be very efficient.
You are organized.
When I want to be. Then you don't see the other side of it. When I'm disorganized and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So, and also like I'm good organized, like for the podcast, I'm good and organized. However, then when it comes to like maybe some other areas of my life that I don't have to get done, then I'm disorganized and I don't have a plan. So I would like to like take my strengths and apply them to other aspects of my
areas
life, my life. Like, why can't I keep my house in general as clean as I keep this? Well, because I'm really down here. That's probably the most reason. But just this little stuff like that is like, can I use my strength in a place where I need it somewhere else in my life? So anyway, I need to figure that out.
Those are good.
And like you said, my goals might be small, like doing the dishes. I don't care if my dishes build up in my sink. They'll be there tomorrow. They'll be there the next day. They'll be there the day after that.
Yeah, I know. They don't leave.
I rinse them off so they don't smell. But, they're still there. I don't like to do dishes, so I don't use my good organization and time management skills and do the dishes because I don't want to.
Well, and that might be like worth, like, I don't know, we can't cut it off our list if we can't make someone else do it in the house. But, like sometimes there are things where we're like, that's really not something I want to do.
Well, I did have 2 kids in the house that were doing the dishes, and now I only have 1 kid in the house that's doing the dishes. So that has,
hire a monkey.
Maybe I can teach my dogs how to do dishes.
That's what I was gonna say.
They always like the plate.
I know they
clean.
want to. They want to.
They would help me so
They would
much
love
if
it.
they just had thumbs.
I was gonna say they just had Yes.
All right, so I'm done with that.
All right. Well, I already gave away one of mine, which was that I have been singing at home alone tortoisey 4 years. And this year, a friend told me about this Philharmonic chorus audition, and my husband wanted to do it, and I was like, let's do this. But it took some hairness for me, which was not natural. Like I was teaching yoga the night that they usually rehearse, so it took some asking and some shifting, and that's not super comfortable for me. Or maybe even a willingness to let that night go. Was I willing to do that? I don't know, for this other goal. And then the audition was nerve-wracking. I haven't auditioned for anything for years. So it was nerve-wracking, and so I had to harness a little hair and get that push to do it, because it would have been so much easier for me to stay in my tortoise zone where I'm at home just singing by my piano alone in the living room. And I like that. There's nothing wrong with it, but it took that little push. So that was one of the things that I actually have already accomplished.
All right.
Check that off the list. Yeah. Now we just have to
finish it in under a month. It is only the 31st.
I did.
During this recording.
But only because they made me, because the audition was early January. And then I have an exercise one too, where I've had a knee injury. And so this exercise one is a little weird, because I want to incorporate some more high intensity, because I have been, with my knee injury, very steady at yoga, very steady at walking and lifting my upper body. But I have had very few opportunities to get my heart rate kind of up. So I'm trying to find ways to like kick it up in whether it's on a bike or whatever, and to get a little more impact as the knee heals without bothering the knee. And then as sort of an auxiliary, like to give myself the grace when I do irritate it to step back. And that's its own kind of goal, which again is something I'm pretty good at, but then I get a little clingy, and like I kind of bugged it when it was snowy outside. And I was so frustrated. I was like, I just want it to be 100% better today, now. And I almost felt like I'm just gonna do whatever regardless. And I had to take a step back and be like, nope. The most important thing is not that you do a YouTube workout today. The most important thing is that your knee heals well and thoroughly. And so those two goals are in sort of tension together, but also working together. So yes.
And believing that you can do them all, because our last stat for the day.
Yes.
Bring it on around. So this is part of the New York Post, the research from the poll in 2020. And like I said, but did I say this before, or did we just talk about it before? I don't know. The New York Post poll that I was talking about, the 68% give up their resolutions sooner than the month out or whatever, is that they took the poll in 2020. We don't know when in 2020.
Right.
Was it pre-COVID? Post-COVID?
Probably not, because COVID hit in March.
Yeah. So it would have been,
unless they had accomplished their New Year's resolution in January by getting their poll done.
Yeah, because nobody did anything after COVID. So they ended their report with 1 in 7 Americans never actually believe that they will see their resolution through in the first place. So that you're making a resolution that you absolutely do not believe that you will do.
Yes, and that is where the bullseye just has to be close enough to hit it. It can be far, but you have to be close enough to at least sometimes hit it. I would say you should always be hitting it, even if it's an outer ring. But that's my tortoise speaking. But it's got to be close enough that at least sometimes you can hit it, so that you can believe you hit it. Otherwise, you'll just, who wants to do something you're going to fail at?
For sure.
No one.
Yeah. And you got to still be able to dream. That's the thing. What is the fine line between dreaming about something and then actually implementing it?
And I would almost say the dream is looking at the faraway target, maybe being far away from the target, and then the practice is stepping close enough that you can actually hit the target. Yeah. And then gradually stepping back till you're at the place you were dreaming about.
Right.
And even from a skill perspective, okay, I'm not an archer, so I'm going to say dumb things. But
I have no idea.
I imagine that there is some technique that must be developed.
Sure.
That is probably difficult to develop if you're too far back to understand like the physics, like where
Yeah.
my arrow needs to go, what tension I need, how much strength I need. But if you're right there hitting the target, you're starting to get your technique in place so that you can start to step back. And I mean, we know this is true of singing too. Like you can't start singing like Idina Menzel. But yes, there is some technique that you need to develop in order to get where you want to go. And if you start like screaming, like, I can do this, I'm screaming, but you'll never quite get that technique.
Sure.
There's my overdone metaphor. You're welcome.
You tortoised right up to
I did. I tortoised my way through it. I'm at the finish line.
All right, so we will take our tortoise and the hare shtick on the road.
Everybody's gonna love it.
Yes. We have Carla Webb in the studio today. Welcome, Carla.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, Carla is one of my very old. She's not very old. She's one of my old friends.
It's okay.
From high school. I've known her forever. She is now with a new job at Youth First, which is a local organization, and I will have her tell you all about it. We are having her on the show today because she's got kind of a special circumstance that a lot of us find ourselves in midlife, is that she is completely switching careers. This is new and exciting, and we're just going to ask her how she did it and, you know, how we can do it. And anyway, take it away. Tell us all about Youth First and yourself.
Oh, yeah. Well, just a little background to get from where I was to where I am now is I spent 17 years in public education. So I was a music teacher for 17 years, transitioned out of that whenever I went through a major life crisis, or however you want to put it. Back in 2010, I went through a major life event of going through a high conflict divorce and really evaluating my life and the trajectory that it was on, and if I was doing what I really felt like I wanted to do. Took me until 2017 to make the final leap to decide to leave education and started my own coaching business, focusing on building healthy relationships. And so I spent a good 5-6 years as an entrepreneur with that business, and realizing that I didn't really like wearing all the hats of being an entrepreneur.
Sure.
There were certain aspects of it that I loved, and there were certain aspects that I did not want to have anything to do with anymore. I was just really tired of it. So I landed on, I was really good at marketing and networking and business development, and so I had a few jobs that were with small businesses doing their marketing and business development. And while I was doing my coaching, I also worked for a small nonprofit. So then that got me into the nonprofit sector, and I was very interested in that. I love championing a cause that I believe in. And so I then spent some time as a director of development for a small nonprofit, and then this opportunity with Youth First came available as a regional development officer. So now that I'm here, what that consists of, I am, like I said, a regional development officer. So I manage a donor portfolio for 5 counties. So my counties are Warwick, Posey, I have to think about Spencer, and Gibson, and I'm always leaving one out. Did I say Spencer?
You said Spencer.
Okay, I have to go like in order.
Right.
So Warwick, Gibson, Perry,
There you go.
Posey, and Spencer.
Okay.
Those are my 5 counties.
All right.
I just started January 6th. So
Exactly.
I'm putting it
It's
all to
brand new.
memory. Yeah. But Youth First, we are mostly known for having mental health professionals in the schools. And so it gives children direct access to a mental health professional so that they do not have to leave the school day to go
wonderful.
to an appointment. A parent does not have to leave work and take time off of work to get their child to an appointment. The mental health professional is right there in the school. They can just walk down the hallway and spend some time with them. And
That is great.
yeah, and so and Youth First, it's free of charge to the student and to the parents. They don't get charged anything. So it's a collaborative effort between the school corporation, and Youth First, as far as, taking care of that cost. They split it as far as that is concerned. But, we know that mental health is a big issue for our kids, and it really increased exponentially through COVID and after COVID.
Yeah.
They're seeing, just a huge uptick
Yes.
in mental health issues. And so that's just really valuable to be able to have that professional in the school and them to have direct access. And then we also have programs that we have in the schools, and they are some that are either a mental health professional, or we train the teacher, and it could be a whole school wide or class wide. So it could be all freshman health classes get a 5-week class on building healthy relationships, and
nice.
Youth First comes in and facilitates that, or like I said, trains the health teacher to be able to facilitate that. So you have the wide spectrum, universal, where everybody has access to it, and then you have some group programs that are more small. So let's say you have a group that is dedicated to children that are going through a divorce. Their parents are going through a divorce, or have lost a loved one, and they are going through the grieving process. So then you would have a smaller, 5 to 10 small group situation that would be facilitated. And then, as I stated, the one-on-one work. So those are kind of the 3 different levels that Youth First provides. We are in 14 counties total at this time, and we're currently serving over 52,000 students.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is so great.
Yeah, so that's kind of the brief overview.
Well, yeah, that is the best job to have, is to help kids in their mental health.
Absolutely.
All right. So your job's great. You are great. I always love Carla. So we also talked about, we've talked off screen, whatever, about just we're kind of heading toward the same, we're pretty much the same age. We're heading towards the same, issues in our lives. Yeah. And one of those is transitioning from a full house of kids to becoming an empty nester. Yes. Where, for me right now, I am half and half. My son is living at USI. My daughter's still here. She's a senior. But come August of next year, I'm going to be full empty nester. So where are you? We are complete empty nesters at this time. So my boys, they're going to be 26 and 23. So I say boy, use the term loosely. So they're going to be 26 and 23 in February. Their birthdays are February 5th and 6th. I planned that so well. Yes. So they have been, so Cole is my oldest, and he moved out whenever he left for college. And he was out of the house for 5 years. So he did not move back. He didn't come back in the summers. He was out of the house for 5 years. And then he did come back home for 1 year before he moved to Indianapolis. Oh, okay. And so I had this idea of grandeur that he was going to be back, and we're going to be able to watch TV together. Sure. And we never saw each other. Our schedules were totally not in sync. We never saw each other hardly, but it was nice to know at some point he was under the same roof as what I was. So he's been out, and then Jamin, he is going to be 23, and he moved out right after high school also, and has been out on his own. So my boys have been out, and then I am remarried, and so Mike and I, we'll be married 12 years in March. Oh wow! And he has 2 boys. Again, I use the term loosely. His boys are going to be 21 and 20, but Will is out of the house, and Lance just started his freshman year at IU. Oh, okay. So, in August we became officially the complete empty nesters. Okay. Yeah, but so it was with my boys, like I said, they've been out a little bit. And with Will and Lance, I'm the bonus mom, so I didn't have to have the direct input as far as raising them. I got to be there as a support. So it wasn't as big of a transition as far as whenever they were out of the house. But certainly when you look around and be like, all right, all these bedrooms are empty now. Yeah, it's just us. Yeah. So was it like strange the first couple nights? You didn't know, how was it?
Yeah, yeah, it was. So I will say, Lance came back home for Christmas,
Mhm.
and you get used to not having to worry about like, is the bathroom door shut?
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
do I have pants on? I spent all of those years, you didn't walk out of your room unless you
Yes.
had, you were fully
sure.
clothed from
Yes.
top to bottom. And now I'm like, oh wait, I need to think about
Yeah.
wearing pants again. So that was a little bit of a transition
Sure,
back
yeah.
to having to think about those
Mhm.
things. But it was kind of odd of thinking as parents, we kind of keep one ear open when we're at night when we're somewhat sleeping, trying to sleep, or keeping that ear open to hearing people come up the stairs and
Sure,
close
yeah.
their bedroom door and making
Mhm.
sure they're home and
Mhm.
all of those things. And so it was quiet.
Mhm.
Very quiet.
All right. So, and then from the empty nesting, and then you switched into the new career. I mean, you've had a lot of upheaval this year.
A lot of transition.
Mhm.
And I don't know about you. I don't know what 50 was supposed to feel like.
Mhm.
I don't feel what I thought, when you're young and you think about 50.
Oh yeah, that's old.
But I think 50 is different now.
I agree.
I think 50 is very different now than it was when we were kids, and I
Mhm.
think probably everybody says that. But no, I really do
No, I
think
think
that
so too.
it is different than what it was. And so I don't feel,
Mhm.
50 or anything. And
Right.
so when I was thinking about applying for this job, it was an afterthought of like, oh, I wonder if that's going to be a negative.
Mhm.
If they're thinking, well, how much longer is she planning on working?
Yeah.
Are we looking at 10 years, 15
Mhm.
years?
Mhm.
And so it's like, is that a factor? Is that going to be a negative? Is that going to,
Yeah.
and to me, I never thought about applying
Mhm.
for a new job that wasn't necessarily, something that I had this vast years of
Mhm.
experience in.
Mhm.
Starting something new at 50.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I wonder if that's going to be an issue.
But
Fortunately, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
It
Well,
wasn't.
yeah, that's
but
great.
Yeah.
So, with coping strategies,
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of transition is going to lead to a lot of need for coping and dealing with all the changes. Did you have strategies? I mean, you were a life coach, so you
Mhm.
probably have all the strategies.
Don't
It's
have
just, can
all the
Can
strategies.
you implement them for yourself, or is it easier to help someone else implement them?
Well, it's always easier,
Sure.
to help someone else. You can see someone else's blind spots
Yes.
as opposed to your own blind spots.
Right.
And how many times do we know what we need to do?
Right.
And that's the part of being a coach. It's not being a coach wasn't about having all the answers. It
Mhm.
was coaching through the people. They already know what they want or need
Mhm.
to do. It's just a matter of they're not to a place where they're willing to actually do the hard thing,
Okay.
do the things that they know they want or
Mhm.
need to do. And it's the same, as for myself.
Sure.
And so, as far as, the career, and I've always been kind of a risk taker.
Mhm.
I was going back to thinking about going back to college.
Mhm.
So I went to college for 1 year right out of high school, came home, got married, and then went to work and was out of college for 2 years.
Mhm.
And that was thinking about going back to school and knowing that I had 4 full years to complete ahead of me after being married. It seemed like it would be a whole lot easier just to stay in the workforce and
Mhm.
try to work my way through something. But I knew that's not what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
And you sit there and think, okay, this is how I thought about it anyway, was as long as I'm still alive, it's going to be 4 years from now.
True. Yeah.
So as long as I'm still living,
Yeah.
4 years are going to pass.
Mhm.
And it can either be 4 years from now and I have a college degree, or it can be 4 years from now and I'm still working at a job that I hate, or I'm
wow,
bouncing from job to job. So
Sure.
I can either take the 4 years and commit to going to college and getting my degree and having something else on the other side of it, or I can just flounder for the next 4 years.
That is a lovely way to think of it.
You know, what do I want to
Yeah,
do with that time? And it's kind of the same thing with, you know, being 50
Mm-hmm.
or leading my teaching career, you know, being 17 years in.
Mhm.
I hadn't gotten my master's yet because I kept
Mhm.
thinking it was not going to be my long-term career.
Right.
And the next thing you know, it's 17 years. Like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh.
Mhm.
And so again, I was at a crossroads of like, okay, I either needed to commit and
Mhm.
get my master's degree,
Mhm.
or I needed to make a decision of it's time to move on.
Mhm.
It's time to do something different. And so that's how I always kind of weigh things. It's
Mhm.
like, time is going to pass.
Mhm.
And what do I want to, you know, however many years I project out, what do I want to have that look like? What do
Mhm.
I want to have accomplished by then? How do I want to feel
Mhm.
after, you know, 4 years from now, 5 years from now? And so thinking about, you know, with this, as far as, you know, starting a new career at 50, knowing that I didn't have all of the years of experience behind me to say, hey, I'm really good at this.
Mhm.
It was saying, if I'm going to bet on anybody, I'm always going to bet on myself.
Mhm.
And I had never made someone disappointed in betting on me.
Mhm.
And so that was kind of my kind of plea,
Uh-huh.
so to speak,
Yeah.
to people giving me a chance and looking at my resume and not, you know, seeing a whole lot of time behind it, but saying, listen, I've done the work. I have found my zone of genius.
Mhm.
I'm really good at this development and building relationships and championing a cause.
Mhm.
And if you bet on me, I will not let you down.
Mhm.
And that's kind of how I approach
That's great.
my, you know, looking at myself, betting on myself, and
Yeah.
asking other people to take a chance and bet on me.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I feel like I'm like gleaning life coach info because I mean you just never know. Like I'm very like flurry around that. Like I've had 15 different careers or whatever, but like I always go all in.
Yeah.
And just do it. And then if I don't like it, well, then I quit and I go on to the next.
But you give it your all and
Yeah.
are very successful at what you do. And then you say, you know, hey, I enjoy that. And you write it for as long as you enjoy it. And you're like, you know what? This really isn't serving me anymore. And I think that's another aspect of being this age is like deciding time is not, you know, it's finite. It's like I don't have the time to waste.
Exactly.
And not like in a doom and gloom, like death is around the corner, but it's like, listen, you know, I am not going to waste the time or their energy on things that do not serve me,
right,
and do not bring me joy.
Mhm.
I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to write it for as long as I enjoy it. It feels
Mhm.
good. I feel like I'm accomplishing things. Maybe I'm making my mark on the world. And whenever I feel like it's not serving me anymore, well, you know, what else is out there? What else do I want to do?
Yeah, so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So along with that, you know, what serves me, how do I want my life to look, you know, what do I want everything to be? It's, you know, I want to be in it and, you know, use this time that I have. So you had talked about with me a while ago just how, you know, once you were an empty nester that you decided, you know, you kind of needed to talk with your husband and kind of just like decide what your life wanted to look like as empty nesters. Like, did you want to make any changes? Did you want to, you know, take this opportunity to do something new, or, you know, just double down on what you were doing that was right or whatever? So what, for first off, when did you feel ready to have that conversation? Like when were you ready to delve into that, and, you know, were you ready at the same time? And then, like, how did you go about deciding what your marriage wanted to be in this phase?
Yeah. It was a couple of weeks or a month or so after Lance had left for college,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
So going back a little history on that. So whenever Mike and I got together, I had alluded to that I went through a really high conflict divorce,
Mm-hmm.
went through a 4-year custody battle. And then Mike and I, we got married. So I have my 2 boys, he has his 2
Mm-hmm.
boys. And it was really at a time where all of our children were super involved in all the
Mm-hmm.
things. And so our natural kind of state was us and them.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a negative of like, we're making this decision as like, this is me and my boys and this is you and your boys,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not trying to blend our family together.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the state of where our life was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running with Cole and Jamin and getting them to all of their events.
Mm-hmm.
Mike is coaching everything, and he's got his boys,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to all their events. And so that's just kind of how life was
Yeah.
at the time. It
Yeah.
was us and them. And so then, after my boys, are out of the house, Mike still has his boys in school, and they're still super involved, and rightfully so. He is, very dedicated to being a very present father and being in the mix and being there for them. And I absolutely support 100%. That's exactly what he should do. And so then it was, and I was willing to, make those sacrifices of some compromises as far as like our relationship was concerned. I'm like, I'm fine of not taking a back seat, but off to the side in the side cart, right in the side cart for a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, his main, focus was, on them. And so then after, a couple weeks after Lance had been gone, I said, we need to really have a conversation about our relationship now, and what moving forward, what does our marriage look like? Because we didn't have the luxury of a honeymoon phase of no children and things like that. We jumped in with 4 kids in the mix of everything, 4 boys nonetheless. And so it was like, okay, now it was kind of like revisiting and being like, okay, now almost 12 years in, what does our honeymoon phase kind of look like? And what does this relationship that's just the 2 of us without these kind of outside factors, what does that look like? And how do we want to set this up? And so we just asked, I asked him, what does marriage look like to you? What does this relationship, how do you want to feel in this relationship? How do you want to move within this relationship? What do you want from me as a wife and a partner? Are you looking more for a companionship? Is there, what does our romantic life look like? Just all those different aspects of like, I need to know what your expectations are and what you envision this looking like. And if you've never thought about it, I really need you to think about it, because I don't want out, I want in. I just want to know what I'm in, so that I can make an informed decision as, am I on the same page? And is what your vision is that my vision? And are we, once we talk it out, are we closer than we are far apart as far as what it looks like? And if not, where are the areas of compromise? Where do we come together? And so then, making a decision and knowing with all of the information what I'm signing up for in this next phase. And so we had some tough, there were no arguments or like, there was no ever talk of, there was never an issue of like, do we want to stay in this relationship? Does it keep moving forward? It was just a matter of, we need to set some new parameters here and establish what this looks like, and decide what we want. And so, and I let him know what were the things that I needed in this stage of my life and what I was looking for in a partner. And so we just, just talk through those things, and came to some agreements. And part of that was, even Mike saying, we are yin and yang.
Mm-hmm.
I am all the emotion. I'm the touchy feely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want all of it, and Mike is not like, he doesn't need, the hand holding and the, sitting next to each other on the couch and making sure we're touching each other and all that. He's like, I'm good with my space. He's not real big on emoting those times.
And yet he is the kindest man you would
he's
ever
so
want to
kind.
meet.
He's so kind.
Yeah.
But that's just not his,
But
those aren't
he's
his
not-
love languages,
Yes.
that type of thing. And so it's not his natural way of thinking about things. And so he asked me to literally make him a list of, what is it that you need from me? What is it that you want from me? And a list such as, I would like for you to initiate in the car ride, reaching over and holding my hand.
Okay.
Because that's not something that's
Right.
important to him or he needs, but it's something that means something to me.
Sure.
Or I would like a random text sometime throughout the day that is not grocery list related.
Right.
Like, hey, are you going to Walmart? Something that is personal to me, or to let me know that you're thinking about me or that you care about me or things like that. And so it was a literal list of like, here are 15 things that I would like for you to keep in mind that are meaningful to me. And lo and behold, those things start happening. So,
That's great.
but it was those things that if we wouldn't have had that conversation, it's not something that it's not important to him, for him personally. It's not something that he wants or needs. And if we hadn't discussed it, he wouldn't have known that it was what I wanted or needed from him.
Sure.
And he cares enough about me and loves me enough to want to do things that make me happy.
Yeah.
And so,
And he just needs to know what they are.
if a list is what he needs, a list is what he gets.
That's great. I mean, that's very simple and easy.
Yeah.
And something he can look back at if he forgets
Refer to the list.
So this would have happened like October-ish, right?
Yeah.
Was any of that transition, like the marriage and family transition, did that help serve as a catalyst for your career transition, or were those two totally separate animals and you didn't even think of one as having to do with the other?
It's kind of a both and. It may not necessarily have been a conscious decision, like, oh my gosh, this and this and that. But it was difficult on our marriage for me to leave my teaching career and to start my own business.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because
That's
there was
a huge leap.
That was huge, and we go from being a two equally equal income family, because we need to be a two income family, to taking my income away. My consistent, know exactly to the penny.
Oh yeah.
Direct deposited into the checking account every 2 weeks.
Yes. And never gonna default, never gonna be late, never anything. Yeah.
To now I have to go find clients and try to replace this income. So that was extremely stressful on our job, or on our relationship. And he supported me in that. And he was like, you know what, I'm betting on you. Yeah. And so I'm going to give you the freedom to take this huge leap, but just know I'm really uneasy about this. And so
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah.
It was hard.
It was extremely hard. And so for 6 long years, we made made some real difficult sacrifices and things like that, as far as financially, are concerned, and our lives were concerned. And so, we go into this next phase, and part of that was, listen, I've given you this space. But we really need to evaluate whether,
Sure.
you know, are you willing to get a job that has a W-2 and not a 1099,
Right.
you know, that has a W-2 and,
Yeah.
and insurance and all of those things. I need you to really he's like, I'm never going to tell you or make you do anything, but I really am asking you, I need you to consider this for, because it was taking a toll on him emotionally, and that lack of stability was taking a toll on our marriage.
Sure.
And so part of that was that it was like I want to, and I need to get a job that has, you know, direct deposit every 2 weeks.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and all the perks, all the things, paid time off. Yeah. So it did kind of all happen at the same time, but it wasn't necessarily a conscious decision, but it was all at the right time.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good that it all kind of came together. I mean, seemingly easy for you. I don't know how easy it was to transition, but you seem to be blossoming.
Yeah. I love it. Like I said, I found my, my zone of genius, and it's what 3 years ago, I didn't even know I had never heard the term business development. Didn't even know what it meant. And come to find out, it's what I'm like really good at. So,
yeah.
But that's expanding your horizons and opening yourself to new opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, you already had a decent amount of experience with changing careers when you changed from teaching to life coaching.
Yeah.
So you probably kind of knew how to keep your sense of self when you switched careers. But I mean, did you have to work at it? Did you have to like did you feel like you were completely reinventing your personality and everything? Did you feel like you had to change yourself to change the two careers, or you know, did you try like I'm going to stay true to these things that I normally do and keep yourself on the same track after making such a big move?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It wasn't a super coherent question.
I have, like what they say, 0 F's left to give. And I do feel very confident in who I am as a person because I've worked really hard at it. I have worked really hard at becoming who I am. Like I had a coaching program called Becoming.
Okay.
And so I worked with a lot of women in doing that exact thing. We come from an era where we're kind of on the back end of it, but it was still a lot about finding your husband and getting married and having children, and we all both come from, you know, a church background, and a lot of that is about, you know, your most important role is being a wife and a mother, and that's the ultimate goal, and is that, and everything else is kind of, you know, and I don't want to speak for you in your experience, but we kind of both are in that same generation and you know, church experience and type of thing. And so much of it was about that and about like finding your better half. There was a lot of emphasis on finding your better half, as if your half wasn't all that great unless you found a partner, and that was kind of like the goal, the end goal. And so I worked with a lot of women that had gone through divorce, and it was about them becoming the person that they want to spend the rest of their life with. Because no matter what, you are the only person that you are guaranteed to be with until death do you part.
Sure.
You're it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that process was becoming the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had done a lot of work with other women, but on myself. I couldn't walk them through a journey that I hadn't gone through myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to say, you know what, I like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done a real bang up job up to this point in my life. And I have earned the right to be confident in my skills and who I am and what I bring to the table, and not from a point of arrogance, but of hard work and effort and putting the time in, doing the reps, the 10,000 hours, all of the things. And so, I think I've been in the process of kind of reinventing that sense of self from that perspective. And also, going through a divorce of knowing that no matter what I go through, I will be okay. Mm-hmm. I am going to make it. And one way or the other, I'm going to use this for my greater good, and I am going to be better on the other side of it. Mm-hmm. And so going through all of that really required me to develop that sense of self.
Sure.
And so it wasn't a new process that I was like facing for the first time, walking into this new, career move. I've kind of jumped through those hurdles a few times at this point in my life.
Okay. Well, good. Well, you were like very already there.
Yeah.
Which is great. That is good. That is good. So that's what kind of we need to have as the takeaway from this is like, for one thing, there's no better time than the present to start literally anything.
Yeah.
And if you start the process of what do I like about me and becoming the person you want to be, then if you have a big switch, a big change, a big whatever, maybe it's not so big.
Yeah. You're not losing yourself.
Right.
Because you have yourself, and you're creating the life that you want to live and being the person that you want to be. And so, whenever we do face difficult times, which we will, and whether that's a divorce, whether that is a death, whether, some form of health, concern or scare,
sure.
We know that who we are and who we are at our core, and that we're solid. And we may be shaken a little bit.
Yeah.
Our foundation may be shaken a little bit, but we're not going to crumble.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
Super important, especially at midlife when we're having all these changes. And I know we've talked time and time again about, all the change of the physical and, inside changes of midlife, especially for women. And it, when your body is working against you as it does.
Not cooperating.
Not cooperating at all. That, that's even more important is to have your sense of self and just being like, it's okay that my body is in a complete stage of rebellion.
Yeah.
But I'm still me, I still have a solid foundation, which is good because, when you have health concerns, even minor ones like I'm having a hot flash, that's a health concern, and it bothers you as it's happening. It would be nice to have that rock solid foundation and just be like, it's just a hot flash. It's not changing who I am. It's just happening.
It's just happening. It's just an experience that I'm having.
It's just an experience. I'll have to try to remember that the next time I have a hot flash.
Yeah, me too.
Opening all the doors. Luckily, the ones that happen in the winter they're not so bad because you can just go outside. You can open a door. You can whatever. Yeah. So along with you have your sense of self. You know who you are. Do you make New Year's resolutions? Do you subscribe to that theory? I'll tell you right now, I don't ever make resolutions because I really feel like you should be doing it. Usually they're for your health. I'll just say it for the health or whatever. But I have been for 7 or 8 years now working on my health, working on all this stuff. So I don't really feel like a resolution is the right time to do it. Like, I don't want to go through Christmas time, like December or whatever, and just like eat like a fiend and then be like, but January 1st, I'm going to really get back on the wagon or whatever. It's like, no, if you don't get so far off the wagon that you have to get back on the wagon, it makes things a lot easier.
Agreed.
So, I mean, not that I think resolutions are bad. I just know that when I break them, I feel really bad about myself.
Yeah.
So, I think, well, I'm just going to try to do the little things that kind of, and don't make some big grandiose plan that is probably destined to fail anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm in that camp. I don't make New Year's resolutions per se, but I do enjoy it being a time of reflection and renewal. So I do enjoy a new year and the hope of a new year and of making changes, evaluating areas of my life or my that I want to make improvements or changes, consistencies, and I think that's the main thing, and is that really every new day can be a do-over, a resolution.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't have to be January 1st. And if you don't do it January 1st, then like you have to wait until a whole year before you can do that again. You can just do that tomorrow morning. It's fine. It doesn't have to be January 1st.
Sure.
But I am, I guess it's the life coach in me. I do love a good reflection.
Sure, absolutely.
And evaluating and thinking about what my goals and dreams are and where I want to be. But I'm just one of those people that's kind of in that state. I'm always kind of reevaluating as to where am I going? What do I want to do? Am I on the path that I want to be on? Am I on the trajectory that's leading to a better version of myself?
That's a wonderful way to put it.
Yeah.
A trajectory that's leading to a better version of myself. I like that. I love it. Absolutely. So Jean and I, we're going to make lists instead of making resolutions. This is her idea. I struggled with it, but it was instead of making resolutions about what you don't like about yourself, we're making a list of what you do like about yourself, what you already do that you like, what you already do that you want to lean into more. I mean, I feel like you are someone that can be like, I like this about myself.
I don't know if it's the performer in us, but I like taking risk as far as like being bold as far as like clothing is concerned. I mean, I have on these gold shoes.
Oh, her shoes are fabulous.
I have fabulous shoes. And so I like that I'm not I rarely put something on or pick something out and go, oh, what will other people think? I put something on and go, oh, how does this make me feel? And if I'm like, I feel fabulous in this, I don't even care if someone says, you look ridiculous. I'm like, maybe, but I feel fabulous. And so I like that about myself, that I really don't take other people's consideration.
Well, you have had a wonderful fashion sense in every way since I have known you.
Well,
so, I mean, I think that's, of something that will never lead you astray. Hair, makeup, clothes, always. Well,
thank you.
But yeah, well, good. Yeah, I did have trouble like coming up with a list. I came up with a couple or whatever, but like, I don't know. It's hard to toot your own horn, but I think that probably comes back around to your, way of becoming. You have to do the work and like yourself, and you have to know what you like about yourself. Yeah. To like yourself, and know who you are and know your strengths. Yeah. So I'll tell you one that I am fluctuating on. Okay. So I am fluctuating back and forth as far as coloring my hair. Okay. Because I did go through a time period. I went for 3 years where I didn't color my hair. And I did enjoy it. I enjoyed not having to worry about coloring my hair. And I did like the look of it most of the time. I did feel like it, when I look back at pictures, I do feel like it aged me. And I did feel like if I was not full makeup
you know, that I looked very washed out. I looked, tired and
Mhm.
things like that. So, and I have those who know me. I used to have short black, dark. I
Yeah,
always had
yeah.
short black hair my whole entire
Sure.
life. I am now completely gray headed underneath all of
Okay.
this, and it was too hard to keep up with the roots all the time.
Well,
so,
dark hair, it goes.
yeah, and so I transitioned to being a long blonde
Mhm.
now, which I do enjoy. And so it's kind of like that. There are parts of me that want to embrace the
Mhm.
gray
Mhm.
and kind of go with it. But then I also am like, I don't want it to age me.
Yes.
Because it will. I mean, it just
It just
will.
does.
It's
It
not
just
to
does.
say that I would not have a beautiful head
Mhm.
of silver hair,
Oh, I bet your hair would be.
and that I could rock that.
Yes.
But there is the vanity of me that is like, but I do know that it will make me look older,
Mhm.
and I am not at a point right now where I want to look that much older.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like that going back and forth of
Mhm.
like, I do want to embrace the gray hair,
Mhm.
and I think I could rock it, but then I still want to look younger.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I'm right now I'm sticking with looking what I feel like is younger. I think
Looking how you feel. Not
Looking-
yes.
yeah.
Yes. No, I get it. I've got all the grays, and I very much cover them up quite a bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I
So
get it.
yeah, it's one of those. Yeah. I anyway, I look at pictures all the time, and I think that people look absolutely stunning and gorgeous and beautiful.
Oh yeah.
So it's not that.
Yeah.
But
It's just on me. Is it the right thing to do?
yeah, I was like, I'm still wanting to hang in there a little bit as far as.
Yeah.
I still want people to be like, you're 50? Not like, yeah, I guess that.
yeah. So what is the year of 50 gonna look like?
Ooh.
You're not gonna do any more changes. That's already.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I always like to be on the trajectory
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
my better self. And so whatever change, I think it's not the drastic, like you said, like the drastic
Mhm.
resolutions and everything. I think what we hopefully have learned at this point in our life, that it is the consistency of the small things
Sure.
that add up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's what I'm more concerned about, is just staying consistent with the things that at this point in my life I know make me feel better,
Mhm.
make me a better human being, make me a better wife, mother, all of the things, and show up each day and do those things consistently.
Yes.
I think that's what I'm working for.
That's great.
Yeah.
You have given so much insight. I tell you what, this is great.
Hey,
Thank you so much for being on the show.
this
As
was
usual.
so much fun.
Yeah. So we filmed one with her when she was life coaching. I dropped the ball, didn't ever put it out into the universe, and now it's kind of obsolete because you don't life coach anymore. So I had her back, and this one is going to go out very soon. So
Can't wait.
yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Carla.
Thank you, Caroline.
To get more information on the topics we discussed today, including product links and discount codes, visit carolinefardig.com/wrongsideof40. That's carolinefardig.com/wrongsideof40.
Keep in mind, we're not doctors or specialists or even top experts in our fields. Any health advice you hear on this podcast is meant for entertainment purposes only.
For behind-the-scenes photos and videos, follow @wrongsideof40 on Instagram. Thanks for listening, you awesome Gen Xers.